My bad.
Because I'm a woman.
Yes, because you're weaker.
But you don't know that.
You're less. You're not as strong as a man. You're not as strong as men. Get it through your head. Get it through your head.
But you literally don't know that.
I do know that.
Bringing all these talking points to these women. But man, this, from what I saw, I didn't see the whole thing. But from what I saw, this panel was just horrendous. Intolerable. And let me make this full screen here. All right, this woman right here, chair number 1 right there, was particularly annoying. But believe it or not, she was the most coherent one. Like, I disagreed with everything she had to say, but at least she tried to make some logical sense. And by the way, chair 1, she was also a Jubilee debater. She was on the Charlie Kirk debate from Jubilee, the Charlie Kirk 20 plus versus 1 or whatever it was. She was on there. So that's where she's known from. She's a Jubilee debater, just like Naomi, whatever her name is, Naomi, the Rick James lookalike. But chair 2, absolutely dumb as rocks. The Chinese spy right here, also not very bright. The Rachel Dolezal lookalike right here, also not too bright. This girl right here, she might look like she might be trans, but she's not. She was, from what I saw, she made some base points. And then there's this girl that you can't see right now, but off the screen right here was probably the most based one. But man, this was like a pretty rough listen from what I was able to hear. So let me find a good part right here. I'm pretty sure I could pick any part and it's going to be like pretty irritating, but let's see right here. Let's see.
Such as that, because your entire job was supposed to be marrying a man and having children.
Do you think that women wanted to work back then, or did they want to build family?
That girl that right here, that's talking right here, was like the most based one. This is the resident based girl right here.
They were taught to want to build families.
Is that a bad thing?
I mean, in the grand scope of what's happening in the world, then yeah. Everyone should have been taught to be equal. Men should take care of the family as much as women, and women should work, and so should men. Everyone should work. Women should have time off for giving birth and pushing a whole human out of them, for sure. But it shouldn't be a normalized thing that women shouldn't have to work at all and men should only have to work, because if you enforce that, then companies only want to hire men and not women. And then women who don't have husbands are seen as less than a woman who has a husband or a man attached to her. And that just reinforces the entire idea of the patriarchy. Of course, women were able to work. They were seen as less than, they were paid less than, and they were like just discriminated against if they tried to work.
They were paid less because it wasn't as hard of a job as the men did.
Because they weren't allowed to have as hard of jobs.
Listen, if you...
No, wait, hold on.
You weren't allowed to have as hard as jobs?
Women literally...
What's going on, Cody? Good to see you.
Jobs.
Yeah. They could, but they were not as allowed as.
Hold on. Do you think women have the same physical strength as men?
Right. They
could. Of course it's screwed up. Chair number 1 doesn't make a lot of sense.
But
majority of this panel doesn't make a lot of sense.
But in today's world, strength doesn't even matter. We have machines.
But your claim was about historical.
Yeah, who builds the machines?
Where physical strength.
Coal mining, women can do that.
Yeah, they can, but do they?
Can do that.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's debated whether they could. But even if women could do that, do they do that? Notice in this push for feminism, it's always about being the CEO girl boss, right? Oh, slay queens. But there have been no push for women to go into the coal mining industry, huh? Notice how that didn't the coal mining industry didn't start filling up with women. That's odd.
Hold on, no. Women don't have the requisite general strength to do a lot of these professions. If it was true, if men and women's physical strength was equal, then they would be in these positions.
Women have to work harder to gain more muscle. That is true. It's easier for men to gain muscle and be stronger. However,
okay, go ahead.
In the coal mines, in the buildings, in whatever, women can still have jobs there. Not everything is based off of physical strength.
Are machines not taking over men and women's
Well,
jobs?
we're talking about before
you're talking
machines, right?
You're talking historically,
but a lot
of this machinery still today that makes physical labor easier still requires a degree of physical strength to operate.
But you
like
think
a
women
jackhammer,
can't have physical strength?
Instead of swinging a pickaxe.
Excuse me. Oh, so women can't have that strength? Well, in general, no. In general, no. Women do not have that strength to operate jackhammers and sledgehammers and all the heavy machinery. In general, no. Women women don't have that strength
to like break up stones.
But these people, they pretend to not understand
it requires physical
generalities.
strength to hold the jackhammer, to keep it steady, etc.
And are you saying women are incapable of having physical strength?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that generally speaking, and I'm assuming you're going to agree with me on this, generally speaking, men are stronger than women. Descriptively,
in science, men are able to gain more muscle mass than women.
They're just naturally stronger than women.
They're able to. No, they usually do.
If a woman puts her mind to it,
even if you have a man that doesn't go to the gym or anything, in general, like if you have men just that don't go to the gym or don't do any heavy lifting or whatever like that, they're still overall stronger than women.
And tries very hard, she could still have a job similar to a man's.
And how many withstand more pain?
Why is transgender athletes such a controversy now if you think men and women have equal physical strength?
Well, I don't think transgender.
I don't know. Brian's been having these like I didn't see the beginning, so I don't know what her background is. But he's been having like a lot of like foreign like Chinese exchange students or whatever like that, and it's interesting. I don't know if she's like an exchange student or she's just she's here, and I think she's a lawyer actually. So there's that. Maybe she's just here. She's a citizen, but it's like Brian. I don't know. Brian has his own DEI checklist. We need one Chinese lady here
to be in a women's sport at all.
Yeah, that's definitely everyone's opinion. But the reason why it's such a controversial topic is because these transgender women, they still have more physical strength because they were born as men. So
she was right. It's depending on when they decided to transition. If they transitioned at a certain time, they never developed those men aspects, and they always develop only women aspects.
I mean,
I know a lot of trans women.
If a man starts transitioning at 11, they don't have the male physical strength that gives them an advantage in some sort of a sport.
I mean, I would probably dispute this because my position on this is that the sole difference between men and women is not exclusively relegated to the endocrine system. So what you're talking about,
hear about that, Casey or Cassie,
if they're taking puberty blockers.
That's funny.
Like there's skeletal differences, there's other differences like lung capacity, for example. So again, even if they do transition at a younger age, yes, that will have some impact on the musculoskeletal system, but there are still going to be certain differences between like a
trans women are more women and more feminine than any woman in this room. Like they take their womanism very seriously.
Did she really just say that? See what I mean about how chair 2 is just chair 2 is dumb as rocks. How can they say trans women are more feminine than any of the women in that room? Like why say that about yourselves? Why? You're just insulting yourselves. You're owning yourself by saying a man is more feminine than any of you guys. You guys should be upset about that, not agreeing with it.
Seriously, they take
womanisms. What is
they
that?
take being like feminine like a fucking job. Most women don't even care about looking as feminine.
So are you gonna argue that trans women are more women, like they're better women than women? So you're saying men are better women than men?
That's a good one.
Because they know exactly what a man wants.
You're gonna have to wrap your head around that one. So is it? So are men better women than women?
My sister is more manlier than my trans friend. My trans friend is more feminine, more ladylike.
Yeah, it's funny because chair 1 right here, like, again, I disagree with pretty much most of everything she had to say from what I've heard of it last night. But even she would kind of look at these other women making their points and was kind of like, okay, you guys are kind of stupid.
like more
Yep.
in her feminine aspect of her life
But I
than
don't think-
any like.
A transgender is not more feminine and more
also-
woman than I am.
We are talking about physical strength here, physical appearance, like
Those
how
eyebrows,
nice your
though.
skin is, doesn't have to
Yeah,
do
they have the
anything with
pencils.
how you can excel.
Bring back
in a
natural
sport.
eyebrows.
Yeah, my feminine, my
not
my trans
relevant.
friend would never even try to join a sport because she never like wanted to compete like
I
that.
believe Brian was talking about the
Good-
muscle
good
mass
to
and the
see ya.
lung capacity.
And I
All
know
is well.
a large percentage
Hopefully
of
everything's
American
well for
men
you,
who
too.
only play video games can barely do a sit-up, let alone a pull-up. And they're
Okay,
tech
hold
people.
on.
Can you
Look,
do a
I'll-
sit-up or a
I
pull-up?
don't know what we're talking.
Yes, I can. I
I
was
know.
a gymnast for
It's
most
all
of my
over.
life.
I don't know
I'm
what
a
we're
burlesque
talking
dancer.
about
I do
right
aerial
now.
I think we're
sport.
just going on
We
so
got to
many
stop.
tangents.
Here's what we have to do though. We can't like always go to the exception. I'm going to sit here and agree with you. There are definitely individual women who are way stronger than men who could beat up men. But what I'm talking about is if we're just talking about generalities, the majority of men are stronger than the majority of women.
Yeah, what's hard to understand about
It's
that?
biology.
So yes,
Ooh,
is there
Rachel
like
Dolezal,
are
shut
there
down.
women out there who are stronger?
If you
There's
pulled
women
12
who who are
students
stronger than me.
off the street and asked them to do a fitness test, do I think that women might perform better than men currently? Possibly. As in, if you pull 12 random people, 6 men, 6 women, and ask them to do a fitness test, I've met a lot of out of shape men recently. So
Whoa.
I'm saying I think women take care of themselves in their youth because they know that they're supposed to be attractive for
Oh,
men.
boy.
And there's a lot of men that have gone into very lazy
Yeah.
professions where
See what I mean? This panel is just, whew. Yeah, listen, there's one thing. It's one thing to take care of your looks, and it's a different thing to be as strong as men. Okay, they're two different things.
where physical work isn't part of what
sorry,
they do.
somebody over here wanted to weigh in, or
I just wanted to say something quickly. I think that Brian is pointing at this side is pointing
Chola
at
girl over here.
exceptions
Chola.
to the rule. But in general,
Mi vida
let's say the coal
loca.
mines today, not time before. If we have today the coal mines like back then, and we have
Today or back then?
let's say today because I'm not going to talk about
So the coal mines in
no,
2025.
Yes, no, I'm not talking about like values. I'm talking about strength.
Okay.
Let's say today you put a man, a 30-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman, healthy, without exceptions, 100% healthy, to go work at the coal mines. Let's see how many buckets of coal the men can bring out in 2 hours and how many buckets of coal can the woman bring.
Depends if they were taught how to work the machine.
No, that's what I'm saying. From zero, they just learn, healthy. The man is going to do more because it's biologically proven, scientifically
Brian's
proven.
gonna rip his hair
If I
out.
am the owner of that mine, I'm going to pay more than man because he brings 30 buckets and the woman brings 25 maybe. And I think that's the difference. It's not because the man is better. It's scientifically, biologically, it is what it is. So he's going to get paid better. Now, as a work as a woman, nothing comes to my mind that a woman is better doing it. I don't know. I have to think about it. Maybe the woman is getting paid better, but I don't see that as being underestimated. It's who gives more, who works better.
I think we're talking about the
Charlotte
third
Holmes.
variable. As I minored in sociology, you need 3 variables to be able to judge someone. So you can't just judge someone on man, woman, and their job. You need a third variable,
what's the third variable?
like race, class, and gender. You can't just judge someone off race and class.
Huh?
Wait,
You need 3
what?
variables to draw a conclusion.
I mean, she would know a lot about the whole race thing. I mean, she looks like Rachel Dolezal, who Rachel Dolezal was the woman that pretended to be black in order to get certain privileges here. This woman she looks like a detransitioned Rachel Dolezal. Like if Rachel Dolezal quit the trying to look black act and stuff like that. That's what this woman looks like right here.
Minimum is
but hold on. Why would you need? Okay, if the question
as in
is,
stereotypes in America.
but stereotype. If the question is,
We're stereotyping
who is
who's
physically stronger on average, men or women? What would the third variable be? Like, what's the third
Yeah.
variable needed to
Do they
determine
work out?
that?
Do they not work
Okay,
out?
so let's
An
say
obese
No.
man versus a fit
Bro,
man.
it would-
Wait, let's say
Right.
let's say that a man and a woman are twins. They're born at the same time. They work out. They have the same eating schedule, same workout schedule. The man is going to get stronger than the woman. That is true because
Yes.
of biology.
She's correct.
However, does that mean that
However-
a woman is less than the man? No.
No, of course not. No one's saying women are less than men. No one is saying that. It's only these feminist women that equate like being told that they are valued at the home, valued being mothers and wives, they're the only ones that see that as being less than. That's it. They're the only ones. Everyone else sees it as no. We just have different roles in society that we have to play. And men and women complement each other. You know, men are better at some things than women, but women are better at some things than men. But when we put them together, they make a complete team, if you will, because they complement one another. I don't know why I'm singing it.
Oh,
That's not what we're not what we're talking about, though.
Okay. In the coal mines, that might have mattered. We moved past that.
But the argument here is okay. So if it is the case, hold on. God damn, let me finish, please. Stop interrupting. If it is the case that historically the majority of available jobs were physical in nature.
Yeah, she really does. Nuisance pie.
Really?
Doctors.
How many doctors are there in
Nuisance pie? She really does keep that stink face.
I would argue
sits
that
there like a
even
spoiled child the
shoemaker
whole night.
requires like muscular
really upset all the
strength in
time.
the arms
No,
and
there's
dexterity and
No, but back then.
I'm not an expert in like what is the called when you're there's a specific term when you're a shoemaker, like a what's it called? Cobbler. Like there's probably some level of physicality even involved in that. In any case, if it is the case that the majority of jobs historically did require some degree of physical strength, this would seem to, and if it's also the case that men are just generally physically stronger than women, is it any surprise that men were more likely to occupy these positions?
It was purely because of the way society was set up. Because if women were taught to grow strong from a young age and fight to work jobs, they could have easily worked those jobs. And I get that men are stronger physically.
Does she though?
However, if a woman really tried, she could get as strong as a man in that capacity.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
So wait, just let me ask you.
It's funny because earlier she just said, okay, if you have twins, a man and a woman, and they ate the exact same diet, worked out the exact same way, the man would still be stronger than the girl, the woman. Okay, but now she's saying, well, but if we taught women from a young age just to, try to get stronger, well, then they could be just as strong as men. Well, which is it? Because it seems like earlier you seem to understand, but now you're saying the complete opposite.
Let me ask you this then. If we were to look at the strongest, so the strongest man and the strongest woman to have ever existed,
right?
Or how about alive today?
That's a good question.
You would say that their strength is equal.
I mean, I don't know the strongest man or the strongest woman, so I'm not sure. However,
it's objective. It's literally objective.
However,
here's 500 pounds. Can you lift it?
Good to see you, by the way, Matt.
However, in the olden days, what we're talking about.
Tell me the olden.
By the way, I just noticed this, Matt E. Your profile picture is for I forgot, but from The Critic, though, from the show The Critic, and that show does not get talked about enough. The Critic was a great show. So you know what? W's in the chat for Maddie for keeping that memory of The Critic alive. It's not even on any streaming services or anything like that. Great show. If you like The Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, all those shows, you would love The Critic. If you somehow get a way to view that show, check it out. It's John Lovitz is the voice, by the way.
Olden days, yeah.
There's no gyms. There's just work. There's just birth and work.
I agree.
If a woman was taught to plow fields with her brother and do all that shit with her brother, the same time, same
but you
exact
just said the
teaching
opposite
styles,
earlier.
she could do the same thing.
So what do you do when you're plowing a field?
I don't know. I never plowed a field.
Are you lifting things with your
it was
upper
the dad
body
from The
strength?
Critic. I couldn't remember.
You should try plow a
stonework,
Yeah.
cobbling
You lift a
work.
tractor.
No, I don't lift. I run
you're
because I
tall.
don't feel like
You seem
lifting. I don't
strong.
want to be strong.
I think you could do well.
yoga.
I probably could if
You
I
could
really
kill it.
wanted to.
You would kill it, Marin.
Thank you.
You would kill it in the fields.
Thank you.
Back to the fields you go.
Yeah, get her on the fields then.
The strongest woman to have ever lived isn't even approaching
Well, that's with everything we have today, with the weightlifting and the whatever. And people spend their entire lives dedicated to getting stronger. In the olden days, what we're talking about right now, people did not care. They just wanted to work. And what I was saying is that even though women would be capable to work those jobs, society set them up to not work those jobs on purpose. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's not just on purpose.
It is on purpose.
There's a there's just a strength component to it that cannot be ignored.
But what I
and
just said.
No, but you're saying, well, if these women, and look, I think that
even if we were to take all men off the fields and just put all women on the fields, right? The work wouldn't be as efficient as if the men were doing it. It just wouldn't. I'm not saying they wouldn't do good jobs or decent jobs. It just wouldn't be as good if it were all men. The men are better suited for it than women in general.
There are women who, if they're
because
really
of their
strong,
biological characteristics,
I think they can do the job. My argument is, if you have 100 men and 100 women, and both of them, you put both of them through, well, you're saying
the same training,
the same
everything.
training, and they're both like athletic.
Since birth, same food, same everything.
You do all of that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Cassie.
Those 100 men are going to be stronger than all of those women.
Well, maybe the women would find out a way to do it without all the strength.
What?
What?
Work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder.
How? Okay.
We
Here's
make
the
the men
task.
do it.
Yeah.
Here's the task.
Exactly.
Here's the
Make
task.
them do it.
I'm a dom.
Oh my
Move
goodness.
This pile of rocks that each weigh 70 pounds from point A to point B.
Right.
Okay. Men, due to their physical strength, are going to be superior at
But
doing
women will
this.
come up with like a way to pull it. Or
And
like,
so do men.
Yeah, so
did
do men.
I just don't think it's a
the
good
problem
use of
with your
efficiency.
argument is there's no historical value to say that women would not do better because women were never given the chance. That's all I'm saying.
There is a
This whole that's like cope and excuses. It's just like, well, they would never give him the chance. We live in a society like nowadays, like current society, we live in a more freer society than ever, where we've eliminated a lot of the gender roles, right? We've told women they could do whatever they want, and yet they're still not going into these professions. They're still not going into these jobs. So what's your excuse now? Like, now you have no excuses. Now there's just no excuses now. We've given you permission. Okay, fine. Go do whatever you want now. Okay, you've had at it. There's not been an increase in any of these fields, at least significantly, that showed like, okay, yeah, you know what, you're right. Women just need the chance. But now she's probably going to cope and said, yeah, no. It's like the whole systemic thing. Like, well, how come, blacks have more rights now than ever? Yeah, but you see, because they were held back a lot. They didn't get a head start. They need more time. She's probably going to go that route. Like, women need more time.
There's a precedence for it.
Women were never given the chance to try.
Hold on. Why?
But
You
why
agree?
it matters so
You
much?
agree it's a given that men are physically stronger.
Okay.
And do you think historically people also just knew men stronger than women?
Because they forced women to not try.
So
Yes, continue.
are you saying that physical strength is a social, like a social structure?
A little bit.
You're saying it's subjective, social, like physical strength. It's
Muscular
not objective.
men are attractive. Muscular women are ugly and manly. That's a whole thing. I've seen that everywhere. Women who weightlift, women who do boxing, they're not seen as attractive because they're muscular.
What does this have to do with like historic?
And I'm telling you right now, and that is today's world. In the olden days, a woman had muscle. That's like vile. That's like against the rights of women.
Against what? It's against the rights of women. So if we don't find muscular women attractive in general, right? Well, that's horrible. Well, that would be like, okay, again, if most men started to really act feminine, not just like lose muscle mass, but we just started to act more feminine, would women find us as attractive? I mean, women don't find soy boys attractive now. Like, they'll say, yeah, I want a nice guy. I want a nice guy that'll really listen to me. And then when they get that nice guy who's really sensitive, well, they don't want that. They want the jerk, the guy who's more of a jerk, but because he's a jerk, he's more assertive, he's more willing to defend her in situations, fight for her. Yeah, he might be an asshole, but you know what? He's still the manliness still exudes, and that's what the women are looking for. That's why the nice guys are always like, well, I don't get it. I'm nice. Yeah, but women don't want nice. So again, equate that to the whole, like, oh, women being muscular and stuff. Yeah, men just in general don't find that attractive. We want women to look like women. Like, sorry.
What? Against the rights of women?
Women have
What? Wait, what rights? What? Hold on. What are you talking about?
women have
Because
a
women
way.
were supposed to be weak.
Look pretty.
Huh?
Women
Look
are
pretty
weak.
and be tiny.
Wait, say it,
Maybe
go ahead,
you
say
are.
it.
Women are weak. Maybe you are.
And also, I just don't understand, like,
Maybe
why
you
do you
are.
have to make it a social thing?
I'm not weak
Because it's
either.
just not a good user efficiency. If you send women to plow the field, why don't you just take advantage of each other's talents? And maybe women are better doing some other jobs, like maybe sewing.
Like what?
than
Giving
men.
birth?
That's why there's
That's not a job. That's a
division
part of
labor.
life.
That's why
You know,
women
picking the
were
cherries.
behind
you
the
Thanks for
scenes
joining,
in the
Benjamin. Good to see you.
Everyone
Glad you
has
like
their
the
own
intro.
strengths. We're not
Yeah,
trying to diminish men. Men have their strengths and we have our strengths. We're trying to come together as a society. We don't want to get away from men. We love men. We want men to just treat us equally
Truly.
and like respect us and not like
Because
It's not that hard to
the
understand.
second men say we're stronger, we can do more, is the second they started having
But
all
is it-
political
why are you guys
rights.
comparing
Not-
yourself
but-
to
This
us?
girl's
logic that they're stronger biologically.
Okay, and
they're
what about it?
stronger.
Is it
women
It
descriptively?
means that
Hold on. Hold on.
And what about it?
There's
No, I want to
And
hear
what
what she was
about
back
it?
to say about
What?
it.
Say it. Go ahead. Say it.
men are biologically stronger.
No one said no.
So therefore, therefore they're going to be the ones doing the harder jobs that require more strength. I.e., why women couldn't do the coal mine, the construction, the whatever you say that they didn't get the opportunity to do. It's because they're weaker than men, and that's why they didn't get the opportunity. It's not because society made it this way.
Yeah, also,
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not society. No, not everyone didn't just come together together one day and was like, "All right, guys. All right, men, you're going to do this. Women are going to do that. All right, you guys got your roles. Break." You know, that's not what happened. Also, too, men have more of a financial incentive to go into these more dangerous jobs because they're more dangerous. They pay more, right? They pay more, and men have more of a financial incentive because not only do they have to, take care of themselves, they also have families to take care of. So men usually put that first. Do you think men want to go into coal mining? Not necessarily, but you know what? It probably pays really well because of all the risks. And if that means taking care of their family, that's what they're going to do because that's what men in general do.
yeah, also I agree
Okay.
that men having more physical strength doesn't mean they're superior to women. And this is totally outside the topic because a man who is physically weak can still treat women like shit and can still disrespect them.
But do you realize that, especially in the olden days when strength actually mattered,
Actually
and
mattered.
even
Oh, it doesn't matter
recently,
anymore, I guess.
men say that being stronger and working in the olden days makes them better than women? Because I've
Nobody
seen
is-
that
nobody's
everywhere.
arguing that. Nobody's
Yeah.
arguing that.
That's what it sounds
Look,
like.
can we agree on this?
Yeah, maybe to you and all you wacko feminists, that's all you hear. We say, well, men should be in the workplace, women should be at home taking care of their families, and you guys hear, what? Are you saying that women aren't good as men? They're not good enough? They're lesser than? No one's saying that. We're just saying that there's different roles to fulfill in our society. Men are better at fulfilling these roles. Women are better at fulfilling these roles. Nothing wrong with that. Again, it just seems like it's penis envy. Like, I think back in the 1950s, if men were the stay-at-home fathers, right? If it were men's jobs to stay at home and take care of the family and women's jobs to go to work and earn the income, feminism at that point then would have been about, oh, how come we have to go slave away at jobs all day? What are we? Are we just your slaves? Our job is just to make money? No. We need women to be able to have the choice to stay at home. That's what we need. It's not fair that men just get to stay home all day and just do the laundry. It's not fair. No, women need to have the option as well. Like that's what feminism would have been about had the roles been reversed back then.
this descriptively, is it true that men are physically stronger than women?
Yes.
They can be in some certain
It's not just that
aspects.
it's not just that they can be, it's that they are.
I don't know. I know
You're
a
not
lot
gonna
of
grant
weak
that?
No.
I agree with, yes, there are weak men. I don't dispute that.
If every man and every woman on the entire planet did the exact same nutrition routine, the exact same workout routine, physically, yes,
Yep.
men could be stronger.
Would be
stronger.
Yeah.
However, that's
See,
not
she knows
the
that.
case.
So
she
if
knows
they
that, but
did
she keeps
study-
howevering. And people in the chat were calling her out. She'd be like, however, like she would say something that's kind of reasonable, but then she would ruin it by going, however, followed by a bunch of jackassery. Grade A top-notch jackassery.
studies and showed, like they did this study with
But why
like
does that even
10,000
matter?
women. The grip strength, for example, men have orders of magnitude greater grip strength than
Okay.
women. So if we're looking at upper
grip from
body
something
strength,
else.
which is sort of predominated as it relates to physical labor typically, although there's some component of lower body strength, but men are also stronger in their lower bodies.
Okay.
Now, but would you agree that descriptively that's true?
Yeah. Does that mean they deserve more rights than women?
That's not what we're arguing. We're just saying that
I
as
never
it-
said they weren't stronger.
you seem to
though.
be making you're arguing, well,
I'm just saying
if the
that
men and women started out in these jobs
I've
at the same
said
time,
since the beginning, if they started off the same job, same diet,
They
whatever,
wouldn't
men
be-
would be stronger. However, that's not the case because women have never been given the chance to do
but
any of that.
okay, sure,
They had
but
a head start.
if women were given the chance at the same starting point to start working in these jobs, and through whatever, it's swinging a pickaxe or digging with a shovel,
Okay.
I still would argue that even if you had a woman working the same amount of hours as a man, it's not even clear to me if they would have that sort of ability to even work the same length of time as a man in a physical capacity. They would not be able to develop the same level of strength as a man, even if they started at the exact same time.
Okay.
We have
And your
different
point is-
hormonal body like
Okay, I don't know what your point is. Like, come on. Stop being so disingenuous.
You're
But
saying-
I'm wondering what the
Okay,
point
whatever.
of the
I'm-
strength
It's just
argument
not
even
gonna get
is.
there.
You understand? I think she knows what the point
strength
is.
Is that it's nothing
It's
to
not
do
hard.
with the men being better than women. It's a scientifically proven.
Yeah, it's a
It's
fact.
biology and it's a fact. And because
I'm
they are
not saying
and
it
because they
isn't.
are stronger, they can do work that we cannot do. And if we do it, we could do it, but we're not going to do it as good as they do it because we don't have the strength that they have. And I would like to mention another thing with your permission. Back then, it
With your
wasn't only that the women were not given the opportunity. I think we all agree that back then, as much as women were not allowed to vote and they were put down in other social, points, back then people were more supporting family. Who would raise those kids? Who would take care of the kids? Another thing, they will also support family and religion. And all that was so close together that the women were at home taking care of the kids, doing the housework,
There's nothing wrong with that.
and
Nothing wrong with that.
going to church on Sundays. It was a completely different thing.
how depressed
Today-
were those women?
It was different.
Oh my
Today-
goodness. Oh my goodness. How depressed were those women? Not as depressed as they are now. Women are freer now they're more freedom to make the choices that they want now more than ever. And yet they're more miserable than ever. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they weren't as miserable then as they were now. I'm pretty sure even back then they weren't miserable. And again, well, what about men? Like, do you think men are happy to have to go work a job that they might not even like, but they do it because they have a duty to their family to provide? It's weird how men, we have to do that shit, but women, it's like they have no duties at all.
Let me finish real quickly. Today, it's completely different. But you know what? I support family 100%. And that's what I was taught. And I am so grateful for that. And to see my parents together until their last day, and to see my mother taking care of me and my sister, I'm grateful to heaven today. And my mother was not discriminated. It was a
Based.
different level of priorities.
But
That's what I think.
But
Based.
in general, the difference of priorities. If a woman's priority is to be a homemaker and have a family, which is totally normal for women to want that, like I'd love that. It'd be great. If
I mean,
that
would you though? Would you? Then why are you sitting here crying and complaining about it and being all angry about it? Would you really like that?
a woman's priority, and the whole society, the whole country, the whole world believes women's priority is to be the homemaker and the family maker, then that counts out other women who don't want a husband, who don't have a husband, who are gay, who whatever. All of those people, but all of those people who are taught that they have to be a family maker and a homemaker are suddenly left out of the job equation.
All right.
And that's unfair.
Oh, okay. Well, we shouldn't base around society for the outliers. You know, we have to base society around the generalities, not for the minority of women that, let's say, are unable to give birth or, you know, can't find a husband for whatever reason, which, by the way, I mean, then they should seek help. If they want to have a husband, if they want to find a good man, but they can't, then they should definitely seek help in that. Same way, if there is a man that can't find a woman, we should help them better themselves so they could seek out and find a good woman, you know? But just because of those outliers doesn't mean that, oh, therefore, now we have to turn everything topsy-turvy for the minority.
Okay, a couple questions here, and then I've got to move this on.
Perfect.
Oh, yes.
If I could show you, for example, if we are looking at the apex of both men and women. So, for example, the U.S. women's soccer team got completely destroyed by like a under 18 boys team.
Okay.
Boys are innate having more.
No, but
sports,
what's the point of that question?
Well, the point is that if we look at sports, for example, so if you look at elite female athletes, if they were men with their same scores, they would not be able to even qualify to compete in the Olympics, for example.
Okay.
So if you look at running, for example, men are faster than women. If you look at strength sports, men are stronger than women. There's this website that we've pulled up a whole bunch of times.
Have a man get a wax. Let's see how strong he is then.
No, can you finish your point?
Yeah, the point is essentially that if we look at sporting events, men in that dimension, and so you would have to agree that the elite female athletes, most female athletes who are elite, started at a very young age. So they have.
There's a commenter there that was like, Chair 6, we need more from you. Chair 6 is the base girl right here. And yeah, I agree, you know. She's the only based one there. And Chair 5 too. She makes some solid points as well. But I think most based is Chair 6.
Things that you mentioned, the good nutrition, all this other stuff, they've been involved in the sport since most Olympic athletes have been doing the sport since they were like children or whatever. Okay. But if you were to place the women and have them compete with the men would completely dominate. So the strongest women, the apex of women, you put them against the strongest men, the men outperform the women. Okay. Even if the women had that base level foundation of nutrition and like training.
That's why women and men compete separate, first of all. Second of all, men are taller. That is just part of life.
And they're also physically stronger.
Okay.
They have more muscle density.
Okay.
Okay.
But also, men and women have different coaches.
Sorry, just sometimes I look at Brian's reactions and the way he just kind of looks off like, gosh darn it. Like, come on. You know, that's how it's like pretty much dealing with these people. It's just like, come on. You know, it's hard not to get frustrated talking with these wackos.
Coaches.
Oh no, Marin, you're killing me here.
It's true.
Oh, the coaches.
The coaches are different. Everything's different. And even if women get destroyed by the men's teams, does that make them less
the coaches?
Of people?
That's not the argument.
See, she keeps equating it to like, are they less than? Like, no one is saying that, lady. No one is saying that. No one is saying because men can beat women at sports, therefore women are lesser people. No one is making that argument. Why do you keep going to that? Why?
So what's the argument?
The argument is about
what's the argument?
You're saying, okay, I'm saying men are stronger than women. And you're saying, well, hold on, women didn't have the opportunity or there was like social stigma or they didn't have the opportunity. And I'm saying you look at elite athletes who did have the opportunity and you compare elite male athletes to elite female athletes, both had opportunity. The women are not capable of competing with the men.
I'm not trying to say that it's not a biological fact that men can get stronger than women. I'm trying to say that the fact that is the reason that men are more like put on higher standards and have more rights than women because
What?
of strength is not.
Wait. Men have more rights than women? Where? What rights do men have that women don't? At least in the United States. Where? Show me the rights that men have in the United States that women don't.
That's not the
truthful.
argument.
But that's my
not the
argument. But that's my argument.
That's my truth. That's
is that
my
it shouldn't
argument.
be that way.
It shouldn't.
You're saying, yes, biologically, men are stronger than women. I'm saying, even if that's the case, it should not be a player in why women have less rights than men. Does that make sense?
What is she talking about?
Descriptively, though, I mean, it's kind of
yes,
off
men
topic.
are stronger than women.
Yeah, but your point is a bit off topic, but I'll actually bite with you. So you would agree that do you believe in rights?
Yes.
Okay, what is a right?
What do you mean?
What you said, you were talking about rights. What are rights?
Just we have a set of rights.
But are rights
human rights?
But are rights an invention of the mind? Are they an invention of society? Or are there
right? See, I haven't been watching the Whatever podcast for a long time. I've only really started paying attention since Andrew Wilson started going on there. Excuse me. So I don't know if Brian always posed these questions or not, but at least to me, since I started watching, Brian seems to be getting into the deeper kind of philosophical talks, like asking us questions like, where do rights come from and stuff. Yeah, I don't know if he ever did that before, and I don't, maybe since Andrew started coming on and all these other people, I see Brian starting to use these talking points more, these posing these questions more, and it's interesting to see.
They're like inherent rights.
Invention of society.
Okay, so you agree that they're inventions of society?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you enforce your rights?
What do you mean?
How do
looks like he's going into force doctrine stuff.
Enforce their rights, or people
by
enforce
creating laws?
Okay, and who enforces those laws?
Men.
Okay, and then you might
so
even
she knows
say
that.
Like soldiers, for example.
She knows that.
Let's say you're a country, and another country invades you, and then they're going to then impose their worldview and their government, whatever, their laws on you, but maybe you disagree with their laws.
Right.
But you would argue, and I'm speaking descriptively here, I'm not saying what should be, I'm saying what is.
What is.
You would agree that like a country with a superior military force could invade another country and impose their laws on that country.
Yes, that happens all the time.
Happens all the time. And they do that through force, right? So they do that. And who has a monopoly on force? Men. Okay, so when it comes to feminism, you're saying, like talking about women's rights, you would agree that women have to appeal to men to instill their rights?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Brian was expecting a little bit more resistance there from Chair One, but she answered clearly. And so that's what's crazy about Chair One, is that she acknowledges these stuff. Like, she knows these things. So I guess, what is it? Like, is her complaint that it shouldn't be this way? Like, what is her, like, does she have prescriptions? Like, is her prescription that we should, stop men from working out or doing heavy lifting and just send all the women to do it so that women could do all the heavy lifting and be stronger than men? Like, I don't know. It just sounds like she's just whining about, I don't like it that it's this way.
I mean, then there's
but at least she knows that that's how it is.
But it shouldn't be that way. That's
my argument. All right. So that is her argument. That is where she's coming from, is that, it just shouldn't be that way. Oh, well, tough shit.
So how should it be?
Women should just be respected as human beings, but it's not the way it is.
That's again. So this is the whole, like, women are seen as lesser than men argument. She's saying, well, women should just be respected and treated like human beings. Who's saying they shouldn't? Who is saying they shouldn't? And how is saying that overall, in general, a woman's duty is to raise the children, keep the household organized and well kept and stuff? Who says that? how logically is that? Oh, well, they're lesser than that. Oh, they shouldn't be respected then because that's what we're saying.
But that's not descriptively. By the way, men can have their rights taken away too by other men.
Of course.
So, but it ultimately does come down to force. So feminists, in order for feminism to exist, you claim you're not a feminist, you claim you're a misandrist, but in order for women to have rights, men have to grant those rights.
That's so weird. I mean, at least she's honest that she just says she identifies as a misandrist. At least she's honest. Because I think a lot of these feminists are misandrists. But I don't know how she's not a feminist, though. Because if her main complaint is, well, it shouldn't be this way. And if she sees that as not respecting women and treating women like human beings, then how is it not feminism?
Rights.
Right now, yeah, that's the way it works.
Right. Okay. You were talking about why physical strength is a component here.
Okay.
All right.
I think you brought it full circle, and I at least understand what the point you're trying to make.
I understand he's trying to say that men have more physical force, and that's why women have to submit to them or whatever.
That's not
versus
power.
That's not. Look, I'm not making a should claim. I'm just speaking descriptively
of what's happening.
I'm saying
I agree that is what's happening.
Because men have a monopoly on force, that there is going to be a natural tendency to move towards a patriarchy.
But I also believe that it's not just men having more strength, it's that men rely on their strength more. Whereas if women were in charge since day one and women controlled everything, there'd be way less emphasis on force and strength to give rights and give.
How would women have been in charge from the beginning, though? That doesn't make any sense. If you acknowledge that biologically men are stronger, and again, in general, if that men are stronger than women, then how would it have even been possible at the beginning for women to be in charge? That wouldn't have been possible in the first place. I mean, that's how we got to this point, was because it wasn't possible for women to be in charge. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't have been because of force doctrine. So it doesn't even make any sense. She's coming at it from this weird perspective that everyone just got together one day and was like, okay, women, you do this, men, you do this. Men, and by the way, we're just all going to vote. Men are going to be in charge, right? Oh, okay, yeah, majority voted. Okay, great. So men are going to be in charge. Women, you're going to do this. Break. That's not what happened. I think it just naturally came to be this way because of biology.
If laws, it would all be more methodical.
Let me ask you a question, though. If there's a dispute between two nations and they can't figure this out through diplomacy, what do you think is going to be the end result of this conflict?
Depends on the conflict, depends on the nation.
Drop some acid.
Have
them.
This girl.
This girl.
Little
Well, let's say.
Oh, poor Brian. Poor Brian.
Let's say.
Let
me ask you a question. Wait,
that would be the
on.
best way to actually have a genuine conversation.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say that there was a matriarchy, and this matriarchy was the most peaceful matriarchy that ever existed. However, there was another tribe.
I agree with that. Some of the commenters on the Whatever podcast said that we needed a one-on-one debate with Chair One versus Andrew Wilson. I agree with that. I think that would be great.
And this tribe was a patriarchy, and this tribe was belligerent, and they were interested in your territory. They wanted to conquer your territory. Wouldn't you have to have some sort of defensive force? Even if you were not interested in going to war, you would have to maintain a military?
My question is, who's leading the person who's invading? Is it a man?
Yeah,
Probably.
sure. I'll say it's a man. Yeah.
So if it was a woman, I don't think they'd invade.
You don't think they would?
No, I don't.
That's interesting. So you just think women are less violent, or?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question related to this, bringing it back to dating and relationships, I guess. How could this actually be the case if, for example, if we look at homosexual relationships? So if you look at lesbian relationships, the incidence of violence in lesbian relationships is highest. So it goes like this: lesbian relationships, highest levels of domestic violence. You look at heterosexual relationships, they're in the middle, and then you look at gay, homosexual, two men, gay, homosexual relationships. The incidence of domestic violence is the lowest when you have two men. It's medium, well, in this scale, it's medium when there's a man and a woman, and the incidence of domestic violence is the highest when you have two women. How could it possibly be the case then when you have two women who are conceivably more peaceable than men are? How could it then be the case that the incidence of violence is higher in lesbian relationships?
Well, first of all, I'd love to see that article. Second of all,
it's on
second
Wikipedia.
of all, I think women would be more likely to report it if it's with a woman rather than a man. They're scared of actual death when they're being abused by a man, and they're less likely to report it. And I think gay men, I've never seen this article. I've never seen these
right?
stats.
They're still men.
Yeah.
And your position is that men are more violent than women.
Well, gay men aren't in positions of power.
Also,
so
what do you think about the statistics?
Oh, wow. Cope. But see, that's what's frustrating. It's like she just comes up with excuses after excuses after excuses. So her excuse is just, well, and lesbian, I don't know how she got to this, but lesbians are just more likely to report it because I don't know. I don't know what her logic is, but they're just more likely to report it. And then Brian goes, yeah, well, what about the gay men? And she was like, well, I don't know. I mean, they're not in power. So, I mean, clearly Brian right there with those stats, like debunks her claims that, men are generally just more violent. Well, at the very least, like to say that because if there was a female leader, she wouldn't invade or do anything rash or harsh or anything like that or be violent is just insane. On one hand, she will argue that women are just as capable as men, right? They're pretty much equal. All they need to do is have the access or the resources. Oh, but when it comes to like violence, oh, no. That's all men. Women aren't as likely to be as violent as men in that case. Equality, no. That's where we could go. Now, men are just more violent.
Statistics. What do you think about the fact that women are more likely to commit infanticide? So infanticide, they're more likely to kill their children.
Well, men do that too.
I
Men
agree.
are more
Yes,
likely to leave
men do that
than
too.
women.
But women are more likely to kill their children.
You mean abortion or post-birth?
I'm not. I'm not even talking about abortion. I'm talking about a birth.
Post-birth,
yes,
killing their child.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Like now we have like no questions asked, where you could, like let's say you have a child, you give birth to it, but you can't take care of it. Like this is for like, the young girls in mind, you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, I'm 15 years old and oh my gosh, I'm pregnant and I don't want my parents to find out and disown me and all this stuff, where they could go and take their baby to like a fire department, and it's like no questions asked, drop boxes, if you will. And no questions asked, you could just give up your baby, right? Even with those around nowadays, there are still cases of women leaving their newborn babies in trash bags and dumpsters for them to just die. Like that still happens. So I don't know. How do you explain that?
Fact. Women are more likely to kill their children.
Well, men are more likely to leave. I don't know what your point is.
What about isms? And also too, what's worse, leaving or actually unaliving them?
His point is that
excuses.
His point is that men is he's trying to say that
what's going on, Dr. Dickhead?
Violent as well as
I gotta let some chats come through. We got Claim here. Sorry for the delay, Claim.
Claim donated $200. Chair 1, is that low-cut top designed to fight the patriarchy? Nothing like a bunch of 304s wearing revealing clothes and arguing against men.
Let's see your
You
face,
would all
bitch.
sell yourself for a day on a yacht.
First of all, you spelt yacht wrong. Second of all, I'm wearing a tank top under my shirt to hide my boobs. I'm sorry, I have big ones. Sorry, you're looking.
I'm sorry,
and
you're
third
looking.
of all, no, I'm not trying to fight the
I've been on a yacht.
patriarchy with this shirt. I just own it.
$200. Brixton, play her the video of men doing dangerous jobs.
I know men do dangerous jobs. So do women. So what's your point?
Here, pull it up. Pull the Discord up really quick. I'll just.
Oh yeah,
move
I remember
rapid
this
fire
part.
through.
I
Thank
saw
you,
this part.
Chef Del Pickles, appreciate
gets
it.
wild.
While you're getting that pulled up, here, I'm going to read this super quick. Let me know when you have the Discord pulled up. Do you have the Discord pulled up? Chair for Reverse Rachel Dolezal is arguing men and women's relative strength versus absolute
Rachel
strength.
Dolezal.
Men's absolute strength almost
Rachel
always
Dolezal,
outdoes
that's
that of
great.
a woman's, which is generally what matters most.
What matters most in what context?
I'm glad I wasn't the only
All
one that saw that.
contexts, any context.
Conversational context where there's no strength used.
If men want to put
No.
every single woman in a cage, do you think they could?
I don't know.
But that was for chair
Why would they
four.
want to do that? That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Do you want to respond? He called you
I'm
Rachel
still stuck
Dolezal.
on the doppelganger. I don't know who Rachel so-and-so is, but
Yeah, she was a white woman who said she was black.
I mean, people
was-
have asked me
She
my
has
whole life, are
curly
you sure your
hair.
dad's not black? So
Oh, down on the left-hand side. Nope, on the left. Go down to men at work. There it is. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. All the way up to the very top. Up to the top. All right, you got here. Play the ironworkers one. Mute the audio. Mute the audio, please.
Beautiful.
So look, the reality is when it comes to some of these physically laborious jobs,
I wish they would have pulled up a picture of Rachel Dolezal and showed her, because oh my goodness, she would have not been too happy.
I think we're just seeing this thing. Like there's going to be, the man is going to grab that steel beam,
Okay.
and there is a component of strength with, like, we're waiting for it. Like you need to be able to be like have strength
And balls too.
hold.
Another thing is that men are more likely to take risks. And this is definitely risky. I mean, look how he could easily just fall, you know?
that thing.
Okay. You don't
And
think
then-
any woman could do that?
Well, also for him to get up to the position that he's currently in.
And notice how she says, you don't think any women can do that? We're not saying there are no women, 0% women that could do this. We're saying in general, keyword, in general, they don't seem to understand that. In general, women can't, or at the very least, don't want to. By the way, don't blame them. I don't blame them. Women don't have to do this stuff. That's what's great about being women. They don't got to do this shit. Why can't you guys revel in that? Like, enjoy that privilege. That, you know what, as women in general, you guys don't got to do that shit. Gosh, if I were a woman, I would be grateful. I'd be like, dude, thank God I don't got to do this shit.
He needs to be able to, they literally climb up.
They just want me to stay home and make sure the house is clean and our children are doing well and are taken care of and just support my man when he gets home from work from doing shit like this. That's all I got to do. Shit, sign me up. You know what? Actually, I might transition right now.
Up steel beams. And the reality is, like, it's not clear to me if women want to do this sort of work. Like, I don't think women want to scale skyscrapers.
I don't think these men
Wanna
dream
do
of
that either.
scaling skyscrapers. It's just that's a job position
wait,
open
look,
to
right
them.
here. So he's grabbing it. He's grabbing it.
Yeah, and they take it probably because it pays really fucking well. And since a man's duty in society is to make sure that his family is taken care of financially, they take these jobs because it pays really well, because it's really risky.
Okay.
And he's redirecting it. He's moving it. He has to literally, like,
It's
pull
literally
up, climb
attached
up.
to wires and beams.
Yeah, I know it's being lifted by machinery, but he is going to redirect it, and there is going to be a strength component here. But the main thing is he's also has to climb. They literally have to climb up those things. And you X out that. I'll show
Would
you a
you do
different
this?
one.
Like, no offense
Fuck
to
no.
these men.
Hell no, I
Like,
wouldn't do that.
No, mad
Most men here.
Mad respect to
dad
these
is
men.
a construction
No
worker.
offense.
Play the
I
second
think
one.
I could climb
all the
that.
time.
Oh, yeah. So it gets wild because she starts going, I think I could do that. Bruh.
Is there a way to make it bigger? Wait, hold on. No.
That's what she
Here,
said.
X out of that. X out. Just
And you know,
X.
I'm not gonna lie.
Here, click-
even though it's so nice
click
and
off
impressive
of
that
the
he's
play
doing
button.
it, I do personally
On-
believe
no,
that if you
up,
put
up,
me
up,
on that
up.
beam right now, I could climb the whole
Just
thing.
on the video that you
She really just said that, by the way. She really just said, I honestly believe if you were to put me on that beam right now, I could climb the whole thing. Lady, you are insane.
just tab. Click it. No, the other.
The one
Hold on,
on
the
the
other
top.
one. That's I don't know why I won't hit those.
She's
three
like,
dots
I
in the
could do
corner
that,
there.
no
Oh,
problem.
yeah, full screen. All right, play it.
Hong Kong.
He's doing like majority of women don't have the physical strength to do that. So have you ever been in a skyscraper?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not responding nope to him. I'm just saying nope, there is no fucking way I would do that. So yeah, kudos to the men who do.
You can thank men for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like all
you
the
guys thank us for
all
giving
the
birth.
things.
Like we could always tally it like this.
No,
thank
but
this
the,
for
no,
that.
no,
Thank for this
but
for
the
that.
reason you can thank men for that is because the men were hired for that. If a
Women don't want to do this
why
kind
not?
of work.
Why men don't want to do that kind of work? Even
Yes,
that is blue collar work.
I agree
There
with
are
you,
poor
but there
people.
are some fucking these iron workers. They're amazingly
Amazing.
brave men.
Incredible.
They're also a little crazy. I would not want to do this.
I
shit.
have
had
done
construction
this.
workers
You gotta
like
be-
hold
If
up
you
signs
offered me good
saying,
money, I
show
would
me your
not
tits
be
and I'll,
opposed to
give
doing
me your
that.
number.
And I think I
because they
could
were
climb
doing
that
work
beam.
across the
And
Yeah, but I'm sure she said if you were to offer me good money, I could do that, or I would do that. As a woman, though, I'm sure she would ask more money. Like whatever those men are being paid, she would probably ask for more because she doesn't have to do that job. And you know what? Like she could do anything else because as a woman, she could do whatever. She has the power to do whatever she wants now. She doesn't have to do it. So she would probably ask. And also she doesn't have a family to take care of. She doesn't have a family that depends on her for income. So she has the option to do it. And I'm sure that if they were to offer her the job, she would probably ask for more money than they're paying those men because she doesn't have to do it because it's an option for her. She could ask for more money. She could be like, yeah, listen, if you want me to do that, you got to give me more money for that. I'm risking my life up there.
Wait, pull it back up. Pull it back
I
up.
don't think you would be able to do it as efficiently
why not?
Whatever. We showed it.
because
Okay.
you're weaker
Hold
than
on, we
a
have
man.
techno
How do
trooper.
you know that?
Hold on. Let me
Because you're a
read the chat.
woman.
But have you measured that? Me versus that guy on the beam? Have you measured
We did.
it?
I'd be
measure
weaker.
it.
Really? Listen, you know what? We haven't measured it. You're right. I haven't seen Chair One climb up a tall ass beam like that. So, you're right. We haven't measured it, but I'm looking at you. I don't think you could. I don't think you could.
You can clearly see that
But
he's
you
way
haven't seen
bigger than
me.
you.
You haven't
Yeah,
seen me
exactly.
climb that beam.
He's
more.
way
And on
bigger.
top too. And
He's way bigger and doing it for way longer.
did you know that shorter men are actually a little bit stronger
Okay.
than taller men?
Okay,
They're more
I
likely
literally
to be
don't
Okay,
care
you're
about
making a
his
fantasy
height.
right here.
All I said is I think I could also do that. And you said I couldn't for no reason other than that I'm a woman.
Because you're just
I never said that you couldn't.
You
I said,
literally
How's it
did.
going?
I said if you were
BF?
listening, I said if you were
TM.
listening to me, I said that you couldn't do
Good to
it
see
as
ya.
efficiently,
Why
as
not?
quick,
Oh,
as
sorry,
as
sorry, keep going,
literally,
keep going.
why
Fuck.
not?
My bad.
because
Because I'm a woman.
yes, because you're weaker.
But you don't
You're
know that.
You're less.
You
You're
literally
not as
have no
strong
clue.
as a
But
man.
you don't- I
You're
can
not
go
as
to-
strong as men.
But
Get
you
it through your
don't
head.
know that.
Get it through your
But
head.
you literally
I
don't know
literally
that.
do know that.
Really?
You tried
don't
explaining
know
that
that.
to you, and it
You
wasn't going through your
don't
head.
know that.
You literally agreed.
You don't
earlier
know
to
that
it.
man, and you don't know me. You met me today.
you
I could go
literally-
to the gym every day and lift
You go to-
1,000 pounds, and he could
You
lift
go to the
10.
gym every day.
Yeah.
You go. What do you do?
I run.
Can
I
you lift
weights.
95 pounds?
Who
bench
gives any
incline?
fucks? You don't know who I am. I could do that.
You could.
And you don't know
Right now.
who I am.
If you and I went to the gym after this, you could bench 95 pounds incline
Love that
bench.
cat.
Because that's what I can do for reps, by the way. For
but
reps.
you literally don't know me. So yeah, I could do that. You don't know if I'm
Okay.
lying. You don't know if I'm
Yeah,
telling the truth.
Yeah, she's just claiming shit now because she knows that, they don't know her. So now she's just saying shit. It's like, yeah, I could do that because she knows, but I think she's full of crap, though. I think she's lying.
I want to see the proof, though.
I want to see the proof of you being a good person. I don't see it.
What's the argument?
Yeah, but with your logic, though, she could just claim she's a good person because, yeah, you don't see it. You don't know she's a good person. Have you measured it? So all she had to do was just say, I am a good person. And by your logic, you can't say I'm not.
Argument there.
That you are being disrespectful to me for no reason. And you're
I
being
said that you weren't as strong as a man, and you say that that's disrespectful.
As that man climbing the beam, you have no clue who that man is. You have no clue who I am. You're making an assumption based on gender for no reason.
I mean,
and that's why I'm being annoyed at you right now.
I'm sorry you're annoyed at me. He clearly got hired for the job, which means that he's strong enough.
I didn't apply for that job.
Go ahead, do it. Let's see if you get hired.
Do it.
I seriously doubt you won't. I will bet all the money I have, which isn't much, but I will bet all the money I have that you would not get hired.
Why? Because I'm a woman.
Yes,
Because you're a woman. Strong enough to do that.
But you don't know that either.
It's biology. It's
Send Mary
science.
Someone
to
get
the
it to her head,
sky.
please.
I'll climb
Send
that
her.
beam ASAP. I got
You know what? To be
ASAP.
fair,
She'll climb it
I'm gonna
ASAP.
come.
She'll just
I'm
climb
gonna
right
come to
up
the
like
defense of
nothing.
Marin here.
She's got this.
I saw the. God, what is this non sequitur
know.
shit? I saw behind the scenes. Marin actually bench pressed Charlie Kirk. Believe it or not, when she was on the set of Jubilee, she benched him like for
I
reps.
don't think he'd let me touch
For
him
reps,
for $1 million.
she was bench pressing Charlie Kirk. So you heard it here first.
You guys should arm
But
wrestle.
you know, even if I couldn't climb that skyscraper, you don't know that because you don't know who I am.
Well, you don't know who I am. I'm Marin from Jubilee. I'm a strong woman. You just don't know it yet. I mean, listen, yeah. Do we know with 100% certainty that you can't do it? No, we don't know. But we're like 95% sure. 98% sure. 98% sure you couldn't do it. Because I am 100% sure I couldn't do it. And I'm pretty sure I'm stronger than you.
I never said,
but you did say that.
I never said that you couldn't. I said
You
can't.
did.
I said you couldn't do it as efficiently
But why do you think
as
that?
a man.
As
Because
that man
biologically, you are not as strong
As which
as
man?
a man.
As which
As the
man?
man
How's it
that we
going,
saw
Blocked
in that
Party?
video.
Then
Good
we
to
don't
see
know
ya.
that. He's older than me. He's done it for longer than me. Give me time.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. You just literally answered. You literally just won this argument for
Yeah, no,
me. You just
seriously,
said that he's
Jesse,
done it for longer.
she's mad for nothing.
Yeah,
She's always
and
just
that he's older,
mad.
which means
She's
that
like,
he
is
has
she
more
just always
experience.
such a
So let's say I'm
sourpuss?
his age and I did it for the same time as him. You don't know if I could do it quicker than him.
Like she
You're
just walks
making an
around angry and
assumption.
upset all the
that's a
time,
sexist
confrontational.
assumption.
Scientifically,
And I'm happy that you think that's an okay assumption. I'm happy for your boyfriend. He probably enjoys that.
He
But I
does. He
don't.
does. He does.
Oh.
Nothing. Boom. Owned. You know, it's probably because she has a boyfriend and this girl's probably single. And listen, I don't know nothing about her. But if she's as confrontational and abrasive as she is in her real life, as she is here, I'm pretty sure she's single and she's going to be single for a long time.
biologically, scientifically, he can do it better than any woman.
But you don't know that.
Yes, I do. It's biology. It's not me. It's
But
not
it
that.
does-
It's
I feel
not
like
that
we
I
should just
know
drop
it.
this
It's
topic 'cause we're never
biology
gonna agree on
proves
it.
that
I thought
men
this was a-
are
yeah, this is
way
a dating
stronger, so
podcast,
he can do it better than you and
you
than
know,
me.
I'm happy that neither of you are ever gonna have to do those things.
It doesn't make him better than us.
Well,
It makes
You're not
him
gonna have to do
a
it either.
man.
okay.
And what makes
There's
us
a
a
lot of
woman
things
is
that
that we
men
do
can't
things
do
that we
that
do
we
much
can do.
better than men do, and that's the way
Such
we
as?
are created. Women do certain
Such as? That's sad. You know, Chair 5 is saying there's some things that we do better than men. And Chair 1's like, such as? Penis envy. Inferiority complex right there. I think, again, I think that's where a lot of this feminism stuff like stems from. It's inferiority.
things that are much better than men,
Like
and
what?
vice versa. I can think of so many things. I don't know. At this moment, nothing comes to my mind, but there's so many
A
things
woman
that
invented the internet.
okay.
Like you would, a woman invented the internet. Okay. Like you would think Chair 1, right? She's sitting here saying, well, we could do anything men can do, right? Yeah, girl power. And yet when Chair 5 goes, well, we could do things better than men, she says, well, like what? Well, wait a minute. Aren't you the one that are claiming that women are just as good as men? Like, well, Doesn't make any sense. Like, if you can't even acknowledge what women do better than men, I mean, again, that says more about you and your inferiority complex, that you think just because you're a woman that you're inferior to men. And by the way, chair 5, I mean, come on. Women in general are more nurturing than men. You know, they're more nurturing than men. I think they're better at taking care of people than men. You know, they're more considerate of other people's feelings. You know, there's a lot of emotional stuff that they're just better at than men, you know. Not that men can't be emotional or anything like that, but just in general, women are better at being emotional. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, because there's sometimes we do need that emotional, that high EQ stuff. I don't know how else to put it, but we need that stuff. Otherwise, if it was just men, you know, and we're just walking around like logical robots all the time, I don't think that would be good. I don't think that would be healthy for society. Sometimes we need women to be the voice of reason. That's why we don't like it when women just want to act like men. You know, when women just want to sleep around like men, or, you know, fart and tell these crass jokes and just try to act all manly and stuff like that. It's because we look to women to kind of be like kind of the voice of reason here. Like, I don't think that's a good idea if you do that. Because if it was just left up to men, we would, if it was just men here, I think the human race would have just died out a long time ago. Not because we don't have been able to reproduce, but just because men would have just been doing a bunch of stupid shit, like nothing but stupid shit, risky shit, and we would have just killed ourselves out a long time ago. I think that's what women bring to the table, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And that makes me proud.
And the man took the credit.
And that made me so well. I didn't even know that.
Fake news.
Yeah.
Good talk. All right, let me move this on here, guys. So we have a couple chats coming through. Guys, if you want, pull it up. Get a message. Read as 100.
Let's see, what time is it? 11:24. All right. So that was the Whatever podcast. If you want to see more of it, I'm going to have a link in the description down below if you want to see the whole thing. But yeah, you can see what I'm talking about here. Like chair 1. Hey, where's the screen? Chair 1 right here. Just not getting through to it. And I think that a lot of her feminism, her misandry, just comes from inferiority complexes. That's where I think a lot of the feminism comes from, is that they think that because they're not as good as at being physically stronger than men, or maybe they're not risk takers, where it makes them want to achieve more than men, like in the workplace and stuff like that. It's like they automatically think that they're inferior because of that stuff. But in reality, it's just women have things that they're good at, and men have things that they're good at. Women have duties and roles in society, and men have duties and roles in society. And that's what we're trying to bring back here. No more of this interchangeable, women can do what men could do, and men could do what women can do. No more of that. You know, women are better at some things than men, which are the things that I brought up a little while ago. And men are better at some things than women. That's just how it is. It doesn't mean that just because women might be more nurturing than men, that, oh my gosh, men are inferior in that way. And just because men might be physically stronger than women, doesn't mean that women are inferior. It's just, we complement each other. That's what we're supposed to do. Women and men are supposed to complement each other. We're not competing with each other. Okay. We're not the same. We go with one another. That's why we fit together so well. And hopefully one day chair 1 and the rest of these chuckleheads right here, you know, with the exception of chair 5 and 6, understand that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys found that entertaining. So